Roosevelt's vision of the post-war agreements between the Big Four, the United States, Britain, China, and the Soviet Union, were for them to be responsible, under the principles of the Atlantic Charter, to form the United Nations, which would oversee the banishment of colonialism worldwide and bring the power of technological development to nations across the globe. Under the leadership of President Roosevelt, the United States created a potential for global cooperation, threatening the end of imperialism on the planet. For the first time since Lincoln's victory in the Civil War, the world was moving in the direction of defeating the oligarchical principle and establishing a global community of sovereign nation-states. Under the presidency of Roosevelt's chosen successor, Vice President Henry Wallace, that future would have been secured.
Some have spoken of the American century. I say that the century on which we are entering, the century which will come out of this war, can be and must be the century of the common man. If we really believe we are fighting for a people's peace, all the rest becomes easy. This is a fight between a slave world and a free world. Just as the United States in 1862 could not remain half slave and half free, so in 1942 the world must make its decision for a complete victory one way or the other. The people, in their millennial and revolutionary march toward manifesting here on earth the dignity that is in every human soul, hold as their credo the four freedoms enunciated by President Roosevelt. We who live in the United States may think there is nothing very revolutionary about freedom of religion, freedom of expression, and freedom from the fear of secret police. But when we begin to think about the significance of freedom from want for the average man, then we know that the revolution of the past 150 years has not been completed, either here in the United States or in any other nation in the world. We know that this revolution cannot stop until freedom from want has been attained.
Tragically, President Roosevelt's health then took a dramatic turn for the worse, and as the war was coming to a close, the British operatives in the Democratic Party pressured Roosevelt to replace Wallace with Harry S. Truman in the 1944 election. Truman was not committed to fighting for Roosevelt's principles, but had proven himself willing to submit to Churchill's post-war outlook. By April 1945, OSS Chief William Donovan met President Roosevelt in the Oval Office. Upon his departure, having witnessed the president's condition, Donovan grimly remarked to his trusted aide, "It's over. It's all over." As President Roosevelt was laid in the ground, the British and Dutch were allowed to re-enter Africa, Indochina, Indonesia, and other nations on the brink of independence, and recolonize. 2 nuclear bombs were dropped on the nation of Japan by Harry Truman, even as that nation was entering surrender terms. Instead of collaboration for rebuilding the world, the U.S. followed Britain's plan into a nuclear standoff with Russia, which would divide the world for the next 40 years. The U.S. presidency was, with a few exceptions, steered by the British to revive free trade as the hegemonic system of the global economy. Leaders like John F. Kennedy, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and Robert Kennedy, who challenged these problems, were assassinated. The intended policies of Franklin Roosevelt for the post-war world are still waiting to be implemented today.
Lincoln was assassinated. The British were out to kill him. And they did. And in some ways, maybe that's easier to deal with. We should have kept Lincoln alive. But Roosevelt, he died. That seems to be a random event. It leads to a certain existential outlook. But what if we thought of it in a different way? What if we thought, no, see, he doesn't really die if we don't let him die. We have the ability as human beings to keep alive that which was unique about him. His mental capabilities, his discoveries, his social dissemination of ideas, his creativity in organizing other people. If we kept that alive as a universe where the minds of people is what we valued, what they discovered, what they act on as human beings, going back to this idea that Roosevelt discovered it was his person, not his physical being, then their death would diminish them less. They'd be more alive in us.
It is the leadership of individuals, not the unfolding of events, which determines world history. Now is the time for a new generation of Americans to revive the legacy of FDR and Lincoln and rise up to relegate the British Empire to the trash bin of history once and for all.
In a symbolic gesture, American troops destroy the Nazi party emblem.